Two giants racing to catch up with Tesla. Ford is expected to sell more electric vehicles this year than General Motors. Morgan Stanley expects GM Ford to surpass electric vehicle sales in the long run. Ford's Mustang Mach-E SUV sold so well that GM had to stop making the Chevrolet Bolt EV and UV. Ford is on track to sell its biggest competitor General Motors and electric vehicle sales in the US this year. Two giants of Ford and GM are serious about beating Tesla in their games, and both pledge to invest billions of dollars in the development of electric vehicles in the next few years. Ford is in a leading position for at least 2021. The Blue Oval is on track to outsell its biggest rival in electric vehicle sales in the US this year, Morgan Stanley analysts said in a note to clients on Monday. The culprit? Problems with the Chevrolet Bolt EV and Bolt UV forced GM to stop EV production for the rest of the year. In the first 10 months of 2021, Ford sold 21,703 units of its only electric vehicle, the Mustang Mach-E SUV, domestically. During the same period, GM sold 24,810 Chevrolet Bolts. Morgan Stanley estimates that assuming Ford continues to sell the same number of Mach-Es it did in October, and there are no additional Bolt sales, Ford will sell 27,399 EVs in 2021, nearly 3,000 more than GM. Two giants, but who will be the winner? Tesla, which created and led the modern electric vehicle market, will have global sales of slightly less than 500,000 vehicles in 2020 and is expected to sell approximately 900,000 vehicles this year. The bank pointed out that its estimate does not include the sales of GMC Hummer EV pickups that should start at the end of this year. General Motors' electric vehicle offering is more mature than Ford in terms of electric vehicles. It has sold Bolt since 2016 and sold plug-in hybrid Volt in the 2010s. Ford only started selling its first modern electric car, the Mach-E, at the end of last year. However, the risk of battery fires caused General Motors to recall Bolt on a large scale and stop production of 2022 models. At the same time, sales of Mach-E have been strong. Two giants of America are competing for the largest share of the growing clean car market, where Tesla has dominated the market for years. Currently, Morgan Stanley expects Ford to sell more electric vehicles in 2022, but in the long run, General Motors will be among the best. In 2025, analysts expect Ford to sell 473,000 electric vehicles and General Motors to ship 600,000. Two giants, one prize. Meanwhile, in other news, New York City plans to spend $11.5 million to purchase 184 Mustang Mach-E battery electric vehicles for use by its police and various emergency departments. This news comes after a large Apple startup said it plans to add Mach-E to its growing fleet of yellow taxi. New York became the latest city in the United States to start introducing pure electric vehicles to government fleets. In August of last year, Los Angeles officials launched a plan that may cause the entire motor fleet in the city to switch to battery power. Even small towns like Ipswich, Massachusetts are beginning to introduce electric vehicles into their government fleets. Smart investments in fleet electrification will help New York City get rid of its dependence on fossil fuels. 184 Mustang Mach-E SUVs will arrive in New York in June with an average price tag of $62,500 each. The 2022 Mustang Mach-E starts at $61,995 excluding upgrades and applicable tax credits. The battery electric vehicles will be distributed to 7 different agencies in the city, including the New York Police Department and the New York City Sheriff's Office, both of which will receive high-performance Mach-E GT models. All-electric Mach-E orders will allow law enforcement agencies to fully test electric models and address maintenance, lights and sirens, charging and other operational issues. Additional Mach-E will be provided to the New York Department of Corrections, the Department of Parks and Recreation, the Department of Environmental Conservation, the New York City Department of Emergency Management, and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The New York Police Department's use of Mach-E can help Ford find new markets for BEVs and provide another option for its emergency fleet. The CEO of automaker Jim Farley pointed out in a tweet that Ford is currently the country's largest supplier of police response. For many years, it mainly relied on a special version of the Ford Crown Victoria. Today, it is the Ford Explorer SUV. According to a statement from the New York government, this is the largest electric vehicle purchased by a U.S. government entity to date. But in the near future, this may be challenged by other cities. In particular, Los Angeles is studying the transition to pure electric vehicles. President Biden is forcing the federal fleet to make changes, and eventually nearly 1 million BEVs may be put into operation. In particular, police agencies are discovering some significant advantages of electric vehicles. First, they can provide rapid acceleration for chasing vehicles. In September, the Mach-E became the first battery electric vehicle to pass the Michigan State Police Department test, which checked the vehicle's top speed, braking, and tracking capabilities. However, the agency has not announced plans to purchase any vehicles. An official involved in approving the LAPD's car purchases said there is a lot of interest in using electric vehicles. The Los Angeles Police Department now operates a small number of battery-powered vehicles, including motorcycles. The EPA-rated range of the Mach-E GT to New York is 270 miles, although this may vary greatly depending on when, where, and how you use. According to New York officials, the city currently has 103 fast chargers citywide, 29 of which are available to the NYPD. It plans to increase the number of its fast chargers to 275 by the end of this year. New Yorkers will soon discover that the Mustang Mach-E is a familiar sight, with not only the blue and white stripes of the NYPD, but also yellow taxis. Last month, startup Gravity outfitted its first Mach-E with a cab. The company plans to soon have 50 pure electric vehicles in its fleet, including modified versions of Ford SUVs and Tesla Model Y SUVs. Some Teslas, including Model 3 sedans, have already been put into operation in New York by other fleet operators. Listen to this article on my podcast, Electric Vehicle News Bite Size, at www.anchor.fm/Daniel Fearns. Also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Stitcher and Audible. Or click EPA gives BMW 9X Drive 50 up to 324 miles of range. Two giants racing to catch up with Tesla. Ford is expected to sell more electric vehicles this year than General Motors.